What screams insecurity, but most people don't realize? Mocking other people's insecurity. It's usually projection. When you achieve something, or improve your life in any way, and their first instinct is to tease or make fun of you, it actually screams instant jealousy. I went back to school, and a judgmental friend said, "Wow, how old will you be when you're done?" I said probably the same age I'd be if I never went back. This is an awesome reply, love it. Always having something negative to say when something good happens to someone else. For example, "Oh, you're going to hate that new job," or "They should have done X instead." Just be happy that someone else is happy. My boyfriend does that. He's also the type that, if you prove him wrong, he'll get really angry and storm off. He's gotten better, but it's been a long hard road. Undefined. He didn't realize how bad it was until after my husband passed. I understand this is a character fault. He's not going to change at this point. So I just smile to myself and think, gotcha. He generally realizes his mistake after he does his research and apologizes. He's actually pretty kind and caring, even though he comes across as gruff. It's all an act. We are 59 and 62. It works. You don't walk away from someone who has a few flaws. Edit 2. The simple fact that this comment has triggered so many people really doesn't surprise me. All I said was one thing that annoys me. The pros in our relationship far outweigh the cons, and at the end of the day, that's what you have to go by. Check yourselves. Mic drop. I'm done. Nobody is perfect and there are always things about ourselves we can improve on. A good friend of mine does this as well. Mocking/overly criticizing others. Never apologizing. Some people will twist the story, change the way it happened, and retell it so convincingly that they'll believe their own nonsense, but will never apologize. I struggle with this into my early 30s. Not from a place of narcissism or gaslighting, I hope, but something that came out during therapy. My dad would frequently say sorry isn't good enough to me whenever I did something bad or wrong. It really punched me in the face when I realized that him instilling into me that apologizing wasn't good enough really made it hard for me to do that as an adult. Therapy is wild, man. Undefined. I told my dad I'd put myself in a timeout after I got mad and broke something in front of my toddler. My reasoning being that you have to practice what you preach, right? His response, "Never tell your kid that you are wrong." It made me realize his "I'm right, you're wrong" / required obedience was why I'd always folded before authority. Hate getting into serious conversations where I have to defend myself. Always would back down from an employer and not stand up for myself. When I was older he'd say, "You have to stick up for yourself." But Dad, what did you condition me towards for my entire childhood? Not to dig too hard on my dad, because we're all often good and speepty at the same time. Thank you so much for writing this. You just made me realize that I have been so stressed out that I reverted to modeling the behaviors that I saw in my mother during similar times in my childhood. I'm not losing my mind. I just need to take care of myself. Yeah, boss. It's okay to step back and take a breather. I think you're destined to do better than you, Mom. We have more information than they ever did, and I see that back to my great-grandfather who was a hard man. But my grandfather was better and my dad better still. And I try to shuck off the old ways and do still better. It's hard resisting what was modeled by your own parents. But you can. My kids can be defiant and stubborn and willfully self-centered. When I'm mad, I want to put my foot down. But when I'm calm, I remember I want that aspect in their personalities, so they will fight for themselves. The trick is to balance it. As long as they learn empathy, learn to fight for those weaker, learn to see others as equals, they will be fine, upstanding adults. When they found a point that makes them look better than the other person and continue to overstay on that point. Undefined. Sounds a lot like the one-upper. Those people are annoying, but it definitely screams insecurity. I realized a while back that some people thought I was a one-upper. When someone would tell a story, I'd often tell a similar story in response. I always thought it was we had a similar experience / something in common. But some people took it as me trying to outdo their story with my own. I'm always a bit self-conscious about that now. I suffered from a similar problem. I found that listening to their story and asking questions about their experience before delving into my similar experience helps. Like, once the convo starts to dangle and I've run out of questions to ask, that's usually when I'll relay my story. Seems to be working better. And I don't mind if we never get to my story either, because I don't really feel the need to talk about myself. I just use it as a way to keep the conversation flowing. Constantly talking speak on other people for an inflated sense of self-worth. Used to have a friend that was really fixated on bad-mouthing a specific girl. With time I realized that everything my friend hated about this other girl were things she actually did as well. So she was just insecure about her own flaws and projecting. That friendship didn't last long. I had a roommate / good friend, and almost every time she irritated me and got under my skin, it was because she was doing something that I do that I don't like about myself. It was very eye-opening. Ridiculing other people's achievements. Yeah, but like, is it even a big deal to be queen of the grapes? Like, what even is that? Taking a situation that was never about you or had you involved in it and somehow making it all about yourself and playing victim even though you had meddle in it and make yourself the victim. My wife's boss fired someone recently and has been going on for 3 days about how hard it was to do that. Even calling my wife at home to profess her broken emotional state over it. Girl, you weren't the one who got fired before Christmas. And you coulda waited the 2 weeks if it's so much on your conscience. When they can give you speep all day but can't take it back whatsoever. You're bald. Shrug, so are you. I'll kill you. Explaining how smart you are. One with your intellect just cannot comprehend the astute difference of my mental superiority.